What if I told you that immune cells play a critical role in allowing your male tadpoles to function? Yep, you heard that right. Hi, my name is Nick. I'm an immunology PhD student, and I study the role of regulatory T cells in settings of autoimmunity. So within this paper, researchers show some of the reasons why your swimmers would eventually die and how these regulatory T cells can help be protective in this setting. It also makes a correlation to the fact that as you age, you would likely have less of these regulatory T cells, which will cause increased death in these swimmers and lead to eventual infertility within men. Now, it's important to note that infertility affects about 17% of couples worldwide, and the male factor accounts for about 50% of these infertility cases. It's also important to note within the context of this paper that regulatory T cells are cells that essentially prevent your immune system from overreacting or overresponding to something that may invade or already be within your body. So it's kind of like the police within your body. Throughout this study, the researchers will be looking at swimmers within the testes and the epididymis region of the mice that they're studying, as you can see right here. One of the first things that the researchers show is that by looking at the proximal epididymis, the distal epididymis, and the testes, there's actually a decrease in the number of regulatory T cells that are present within these mice as they age. And this decrease in regulatory T cells can be accounted for by measuring the presence of FOXP3, which is found in regulatory T cells. So then the researchers use a drug called diphtheria toxin, where they can essentially get rid of all the cells that express FOXP3, aka regulatory T cells. Now, in the absence of these regulatory T cells, all the angry immune cells can now rush into the testes and epididymis. If you look at the bottom here, you can see normally your swimmers are just chilling. But in the absence of these regulatory T cells, these swimmers can now be coated in antibodies, which makes them a prime target for these angry cells. In the center here, it'll show those angry cells are colored in red, and they're surrounding all of those green expressing antibodies. And from left to right, as you can see, when you get rid of these regulatory T cells, you'll have a decrease in the number of swimmers, you'll have a decrease in the ability of these swimmers to swim, and then also these mice in general have less pups or less baby mice. And to wrap things up, the authors provide a very fun visualization. Here's their control of some very strong and vibrant swimmers. And here's their Treg depleted group of some very sad friends. So if you want your swimmers to just keep swimming, you're going to need some regulatory T cells to help them out. Follow for some more science videos.